What's up, YouTube? Mr. Charlie Black coming back at you. I had to break in the middle of these viewer responses and do this video to another viewer response that was sent to me 2 weeks ago, and it was from one of my viewers who is a police officer who says that he did not support Barack Obama on the issue of gun ownership. To my understanding, Barack Obama's stance on that was that he feels that, and I know it's a general one, and most politicians are general, he feels that most people, should have the right to own guns, but we can do it in a way where you can go hunting, but not have them given out recklessly on the street. And some people say, right to bear arms is granted in the Constitution. We should be able to use it regardless of what. But I do think that there should be some kind of oversight. Just because I see the increase in gun violence in metropolitan cities. And it strikes me as odd because these same guns have to come from somewhere. Not everybody is going to go buy a gun to shoot a moose. No pun intended towards Sarah Palin or whoever. But this is what I have to say. I know people, and this is going to sound tacky, but when I go on people's MySpaces, and I don't really have a MySpace, but I have the invisible MySpace where I log on to go check everybody else's stuff out, because I stopped using MySpace in like 2006, I think. Really? 7? Oh, who cares? Anyway, but I go on some of these MySpaces, and these people have little children. And they're not just black children, they're white children, they're Asian children, they're Latino children, they're Middle Eastern children, a lot of different children, holding guns at the camera, 4 or 5 years old. And then you get older to the teenagers who think that it looks good, the wannabe gangsters, going up there and holding guns in front of the camera, with money hanging out their pockets or whichever, or thinking that it's nice to look like they're skinheads and holding guns out in front of the camera. It throws me because I know that these guns have to come from somewhere. I was reading the story about the 8-year-old little boy. I can't remember where he's from. Gosh. But this 8-year-old little boy who killed his father and his father's roommate by way of gun. 8 years old. Police apprehended him, asked him questions, he admitted to it. Then you have the situation where this other boy was at a gun, what's the word for it? Gun exhibit, and ended up shooting himself in the face with, I believe it was an AK-47, because he couldn't hold it right. Now, it's all fun to have your right to bear arms, but I do think that if you have no oversight on it, people will go out and take these guns out recklessly. To me, there should be a program instituted where, just like you have to register your vehicle with the Department of Motor Vehicles, you should have some kind of Department of gun registration, like a DGR, where, yes, you're going to have to raise taxes on people, who purchase guns or, gun ownership itself. That's fine. But have it where these guns have some kind of identification number that they have to stick with, where every year the people that decide that they want to own rifles and handguns can go into these offices and with these guns and get them registered, get them checked out, just to make sure that people still have them. Because there are too many stories, I think, of people opening up gun cabinets or leaving gun cabinets unlocked for the children to have access to them. There are too many stories where people get past metal detectors and go on shooting rampages in schools or right outside of schools. And if people had to have accountability for a weapon that could take away someone's life, then I think that a lot of the situations that we have now with violence and everything else would be a lot better off. How many people, if there was a law saying that your gun would have to be registered and identified by a verification number, how many people would go out and lose them? If they know that if an incident happened with that same gun that they owned, and they did not report it lost or stolen, they just were not, caring for it carefully, responsibly, that they would be partially responsible for whatever act was committed with that same weapon. Now, not all guns are weapons. It's when you choose to use them against the well-being of another human being, or perhaps an animal, some sort of animal that's not a regulated hunting animal. That's when it becomes a weapon. But how many of these people would actually take more ownership and more care for those guns? Not only that, but people are smuggling them in. And it's not just the little people that you see on the streets, the hunters and the gangsters. It's people in the United States of America who are doing shiesty, crazy things, smuggling in drugs and guns. If it's not a registered gun and it's in your possession, you should go to jail. That's just the way that I feel about it. I feel that people should have the right to protect their families, but I think that protection is a reaction to something. You wouldn't have to walk around with a gun if you knew that nobody else had one. You wouldn't have to walk around with a gun if you could sleep easy knowing that the people that do have guns have to take care of them, and there is some accountability on their part. The only time where you feel the need to walk around with the gun to protect yourself is when you feel like someone could be coming at you from different angles to offend you. And if there was more accountability for these people that are carrying around these weapons that could easily take lives, then we wouldn't have these issues. I just think that it's the way that it should be. That's my stance on it. I'm all for the right to bear arms, but I'm all for the right to bear arms in a responsible manner where people can get by without having to worry about someone using that weapon on them and not having any responsibility. That's what I think about it. But YouTubers, I like to hear from you to see what you think. I'm sorry to this subscriber. Man, I know that you sent me a message about this a while ago, but sometimes I read them and then I'll say I get to them later, and by then I just don't see them anymore. So better late than never. Here's the video. Subscribe, add me, send me messages if you have any questions, and stay tuned.